Hope you all enjoyed lunch. I think everybody's been having a chance to net lunch, which is great. So this afternoon's session, conscious that everybody's had a lot of food and desserts, which is good. So we're going to liven it up. We've got another key notes to kick off with from Byran Glick, editor of Byran Glick. Brian's going to talk about all the trends that are going on currently with IT, how that impacts what organisations are doing. It's not just spending, but I think it's much wider than just what people are spending money on. So with that, I'll spend enough of the time introducing Byran Glick.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I know I'm meant to be the one now with all the energy to get up and going after lunch and that sort of thing. So in order to do that, I'm taking a chance to look at numbers on, which really gets the energy up. Lovely to be here. It's lovely to be back again. Thanks to everyone who invited me along again. I came along with this same event for them last year. And I remember standing up many were there last year, opening this by commenting on the fact that this trust had just quite recently said something very stupid. This was probably a bad thing, which was longer in the month. I would let you extend that and have it as far as you want to yourself in terms of what's been going on for the last 24 hours. But I'm here to talk about a mosaic topic of, to a certain extent, all you're doing. So I'm not here to tell you what you're doing. All I'm going to do is try and give you certain insights from what my team do weekly are finding from talking to people like you, as we do all the time, about what's driving your priorities for organisations with their IT, spending money on, why they're spending their money on those things as well. Hopefully, you'll nod along with some of this and say, yes, that's exactly what we're doing. Hopefully also might be some useful pointers in terms of some of the decisions that you're all having to make at the moment as well. That's the title you'll be looking at this much. I hope most people, all of you, are familiar with Computer Weekly. Those of a certain generation will probably remember it mostly from its halcyon print days, where if you're really old, it might be where you used to get your job. Back in a different century. We're obviously on digital now. We're very much online. We're an international education now. I have staff in 5 countries. We write in 5 different languages. But what we do hasn't changed my time, and that's all about helping to support you doing your jobs and helping you to do your job better by giving you the information you need to understand what's going on in this complex world of technology and digital that we're all operating in. What I want to talk about today is a combination of some research that we do, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that research in a moment. So that will be, if you like, the quantitative bit. The qualitative bit will be just giving you a flavour of some of the sort of conversations that we're having, my journalists are having when we're talking to CIOs, CTOs, chief data officers, and so forth. I think I can say with quite some confidence that there is no other publication in the UK that talks to senior IT decision makers as often as frequently as we do. We do search the word interview, you'll find lots and lots of interviews with very senior people talking about their strategies and why they're making decisions that they're making. And what I try and do is put some of that available and research data to a few key trends that I hope will be looking at. TechTarget is the publishing company that owns Computer Weekly, so if you see the name TechTarget, that's where that fits in. We do, across the whole publishing company, we do a lot of different research. We spend a lot of time talking to people like you. Some of you might get annoying phone calls from people saying, hello, I'm TechTarget, can you give us some time to answer a few questions? If they do, please don't put the phone down on them. They're very nice people, I know most of them. We also, TechTarget also owns an IT analyst firm called my Strategy Group, who does a lot of this sort of surveys as well. What I'm particularly talking about here is our flagship annual survey that we call IT Priorities. It's responded to by over 3,500 people around the world, and we're focusing on the European bit of that. This is a survey we've been running for over a decade. So, we're very confident looking back on things to see that, the data that comes out of this is accurate. And it's also a great corpus of data to look back on and divine trends and see from that how things are happening differently or unusually in the tech market at the moment. Just a little bit about who answered it. It's a real mix of all company sizes, from the biggest to the smallest. A very wide range of IT roles. It's all major, and covers all major areas of responsibility within tech. I put this slide up partly just for the bit that you can see on the right there, which I will come back to later, which is quite interesting. Just one interesting little trend that jumped out of research. We always say to people, please tick the box to tell us which functional area of IT you're responsible for. And typically, people on average tick 2 boxes. This year, for the first time, on average, we tick 3 boxes, which is quite interesting. I'll come to some reason why. So what does it tell us? Most important thing, how much money have you got to spend? How much money do you think you have to spend? Obviously, it's a difficult time economically at the moment. Everybody knows that. People have been struggled in all sorts of sectors recently. But the really positive sign, the really optimistic sign is that this isn't slowing down IT spending. As you can see, 44% of the people we asked said they were planning to increase their IT budgets over the next 12 months. That's an increase on the same figure last year, when 40% of people said they were planning to. One of the things that comes out very clearly from both the conversations that I have with senior people in organisations and the data in here is that one of the things that has changed, probably as a result of the pandemic, certainly, is that boardrooms, senior executives have realised, accepted, depending on whether it worked first, that you can't rein back spending on digital and technology, even in a different market. If anything, when times are difficult, that's the time to double down on digital transformation. We saw a huge acceleration in digital transformation during that sort of two-year period during the pandemic and various lockdowns. What's encouraging is that momentum seems to have been maintained in terms of people spending on people. What's interesting this year is that the size of organisations most likely to be increasing the budget is mid-sized companies. So, in our definition, that's organisations from 500 to 1,000 employees. And I think that's a sign of those smaller companies, medium-sized companies, looking at what big enterprise companies in their markets did during the pandemic and since in terms of their digital transformation, saying we really want to invest in. This is the time when we don't invest now in our digital transformation. We're going to get over time. Diving down a layer into what are the technology priorities that people are looking to spend that money on. Very information-heavy chart. I'll try and pull out for you just the key parts. This is where we ask people, from a long list of technology and technology categories, which are the ones that are most important to you and become most important. No surprise, security is the top. Security is always this one. This is the one given. Although that figure of 63% having as priority is probably the highest I've seen. So no surprise that it's top, but security is entering. I think the most significant aspects from this chart, and we'll see this real things as I go through these slides, is the three that come after it: cloud, data, and automation. It is very much the case across our audience, the people we're talking to. These are the three big drivers of change within organisations and departments at the moment. It's always interesting just to see the changes in this from year to year. It's interesting to look at some of the technologies that are coming onto the list for the first time. So, for example, right down at the bottom, only 2% quantum computing that coming onto there for the first time. But 5 years ago, AI was coming on here at about that same sort of level, about 5%. And AI and automation has rapidly moved up. Priority is over that period of time. It's also interesting the ones that drop, focus on that a little bit more. This slide, just to throw even more numbers at you, this slide is comparing people's results to this question. This year we did last year, and the thing here is to see how people's attitudes have changed in that time. The big rise at the top is this one of around data management and governance has increased massively. And this is again something that's going to be a real thing as I just go through these slides. Focus on data in its broadest sense. Data strategy has become enormous within organisations. We very much reached a tipping point where, at the boardroom level, people understand the importance of data. And that means getting your data in order, getting your governance in, getting the breaking down silos between data, getting data into a place and a format that makes them usable, and deliver insights and support technology-led innovation across your organisation. The biggest faller among the ones at the top, again, perhaps not surprising, 38% down compared to last year, end-user computing devices. Not a great surprise. There was such a huge uptick in spend on laptops, mobility, PCs, when everybody had to start working from home, two and a half how many years ago it was now. So it's not surprising that that's declined. What's interesting is, while people may not be prioritising the technology anymore, which you see on the subsequent slide at the moment, they are still very much prioritising what people are doing with that. Another one, the fastest riser on that chart, just above the middle, 100% increase year on year in prioritising all businesses. So this is things like ERP, CRM, big HR applications, that sort of thing. What was interesting during the pandemic was that as a category of technology slumped massively. First thing that most organisations did when they had to have a massive rethink that was caused during the pandemic was say, right, we're going to pause the big ERP, pause the big CRM. And those went down massively in priority. It's interesting now to see that over the next 12 months, that balance is very much being addressed. And again, as you can see, that very much is by the move to cloud. There are three big trends that come out of this data. First of which is what we've called the future of work. So this is everything related to the hybrid workforce, remote working, and so forth. Now, while our audiences are telling us we're not spending as much money on laptops and PCs and mobility, it's not as much of a spending priority for us anymore. They are very much telling us that this is still a big priority for us in terms of an aspect of our business. What's very much happening is all that sort of knee-jerk 2 years of getting people to go to work from home, to go to work remotely more often, is now turning into a real drive to look at how can we optimise this hybrid workforce. What are the tools that we can use to make sure that as people are working in this new way, the actual flexibility that they have, we've got tools in place to be able to maximise. Things like collaboration tools, things like employee experience, making sure people are super trained, making sure people understand and have the security tools they need to be able to work safely remotely. So much as you might read in national newspapers, this company here and that company there, apparently ordering people to come back to work. The reality of what people are spending their money on is not that. What people are spending their money on is really making the most of that hybrid workforce, make that workforce as productive as they possibly can. Last year, for the first time, we saw the emergence of a very large number of organisations who were self-describing as cloud first. The cloud has obviously been growing and has been a major priority for a number of years. But last year was the first time we saw a significant portion of organisations saying we consider ourselves to be a cloud first. In other words, with all the decisions that we're making about where we're going to run technology and how we're going to use technology now, our default is cloud. That's where we'll start, and there has to be a good reason not to. That trend is this year is very much continuing. Last year, we found 40% of organisations told us they consider themselves cloud first. Now it's 44%. The number of organisations that consider themselves on-premises first has declined. So this is very much a wave. This is very much a movement of organisations away from being on-premise first, increasingly towards cloud first. Interestingly, North American organisations are much more likely to be cloud first. 50%, half of all North American organisations told us they consider themselves first. That's perhaps a consideration for you, for all European businesses. Are we missing out on a certain amount of competitive advantage here by not accelerating to match what's happening in the States? That's a consideration which we'll have. What's also interesting is when you delve down into these organisations, when an organisation said to us, we consider ourselves to be cloud first, how does that make them different? We can see along the middle there, those 1, 2, 3, is these are the top 3 priorities for the organisations that have categorised themselves in this way. So for those organisations that consider themselves to be cloud first, their big priorities is getting their software applications to the cloud, whether that's business applications, core business applications, ERP and CRM, or whether that's their in-house developed applications that they're having to redevelop to become cloud-based. There is an enormous focus on cloud-oriented organisations to increasingly get more and more of their software into the cloud for all the sort of flexibility, agility, benefits. But also increasingly because a lot of the big cloud vendors now and a lot of the big software vendors are introducing their new functionality into their cloud-based versions of their software. So it's becoming increasingly imperative if you want to be using the latest versions, latest innovations, if you want to be using things like machine learning and AI, your applications need to be in the cloud. Not surprisingly, at the other end of this particular scale, those organisations who consider themselves on-premises first, their big priorities is the big team-related stuff, data centre storage, backup, networking, and so forth. Probably what a lot of those cloud-first organisations might have been saying were their priorities perhaps 10 years ago. Despite the fact we've got 44% of organisations here, 50% in North America, saying they're cloud first, there's still a long way to go. There is still a huge opportunity for organisations to be able to take the benefits of moving to the cloud. There's still a huge opportunity for all those organisations trying to pull you into the cloud as well. We asked everybody, give us an assessment of, how much of your workloads currently have you moved into the cloud. Slightly over 2/3 of respondents said they still have less than half of their applications on the cloud. So there is very much a big wave going on with this continual movement towards becoming cloud first, but there's still a long way to go before even the leading organisations have the majority of their applications within a cloud environment as well. I think that's something that raises a question mark for all IT organisations in terms of saying to themselves, what is the right pace for us to make that transition to the cloud? Because there is still very much an opportunity to put a lot of applications into the cloud now that perhaps some of your competitors have not yet done, to derive some competitive advantage as a result of that. The other big trend, and this very much supports again those 3 priorities I said earlier of cloud data automation, the big trend is automation generally. Now this to me, maybe not to you, this to me when I saw this was a remarkable slide. In all the years that I've been going through this data and analysing it and trying to make some sense of it, I've never seen a slide like this where we said to people, how much do you expect your use of a particular technology, or do you expect your use of a particular technology to change in the next 12 months? To have 75% of everybody asked saying, yes, we're going to be increasing our use of automation in the next 12 months. I've never seen any area of technology have that rapidly increase. Organisations are really starting to bite on automation. And interestingly, in this area, like what I said earlier, European organisations have taken the lead. There's far more likely for European organisations to be looking to invest in automation than any other part of the world. Now that 75% admittedly doesn't tell us the scale of individual organisational change. It's just saying we're going to increase our use of it. It could be a very small increase, it could be a fundamental, significant increase. But it's very much the case that automation of some form is going on in the vast majority of organisations. What's interesting is then, when you cut into the data and say, okay, these organisations that are saying they're increasing their automation, what does that mean in actual terms? What are the actual sort of technology areas they're investing into automation? And at the moment, it is very much focused on automating around the IT department. They are investing in and prioritising tools around systems management, around security, around infrastructure monitoring and so forth, to automate a lot of those sort of basic IT administrative functions. Again, this is interesting in itself in terms of seeing how people are using automation. It's also an indicator of another big underlying trend I'll come to shortly. So, in terms of technology trends, future work, cloud first, massive rise of automation. If we abstract up one more level on the data and say, okay, what are the project level, what are your priorities, what are the areas you're looking at? Within any one project, there might be a number of different technology categories you use. This is where we really see the data trend coming in. For the first time, the number one concentration of projects, the most area of projects are around information management. The major thing that a lot of organisations are investing in these technologies to do is to improve their information management, data management governance, the way they're using data. The reason a lot of them are doing this is because, as I implied earlier on, data is so critical for what comes next for a lot of these organisations. Getting your data in shape so that you can use advanced analytics and get your data in shape so that you can exploit AI. For all of the hype there is about it, it is about AI. If you don't have your data in shape, you're not going to be able to get AI and machine learning. Another little stat that I'll refer back to in a moment as well is the one I've got right there. One of the other things coming out, over more than 83% of organisations tell us they're considering working with managed service providers, external suppliers, at a service level over the next 12 months as well. That's another underlying trend that I pick up at the moment. Now this concentration of projects, information management coming to the top, that very much coincides with the anecdotal information that we're getting, the qualitative discussions that my journalists are having with senior IT people all across Europe and around the world. I've picked just 3 examples here. I could have picked many from all the interviews that we've got published on the website. The big organisations are telling us, when we say to them, what's your priority? What are you focusing on at the moment? They're saying data. Get that data in shape. Examples here again. January Lander talking about what they call citizen data scientists. What that means in practice is getting data analytics and database tools down to individual employees to get that data to help them to conduct and make better decisions. Advances also enormous global pharmaceutical, medical, healthcare organisation. You talk to them about what they're doing, they're saying, we are a data company. Well, they might not be out selling us data, they're selling us medicines, but what they are is a data company. They're being driven by data. And I just really like this quote from Expedia, the travel, mostly online travel group, because it starts to show what's possible and what some organisations are actually doing with data today. So, Expedia, they have over 70 petabytes of data. They're processing 600 billion AI predictions a year already. They're constructing on the fly, in real time, web pages based upon 360,000 different permutations of that data. Now, 10 years ago, that sort of thing would have been almost unthinkable. 10 years ago, 10 years from now, perhaps even sooner, it's going to be every day. And this is the sort of way that leading organisations are using data. It's why they're moving to the cloud, and it's why they're moving to information and AI. Now we also look and report on lots of other research. We're all bombarded with research. Over the years, we get to have a feeling ourselves for the research that's the most sound and gives the most accurate insights. So I'm just picking up a couple of examples here. One of those is the annual digital leadership report from Nash Squared. Some of you might know Nash Squared better as Harvey Nash, the IT group firm, who do a big global survey every year of their major contacts. The big headline finding from their latest research was nearly 90% of digital leaders say change is happening faster than ever. I'm sure if people have always said change is happening faster than ever, but I think there is very much a feeling that we are in very different times now, and process of digital transformation accelerating in a way that is making businesses change like they've never had before. Great, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? That's great for all of us. We all work in IT, we all work in digital transformation. But then when you say to those same people, okay, what's holding you back? One thing comes out in terms of holding you back, and that's skill shortage. The single biggest problem organisations are finding in terms of being able to do all these things they want to do is they just can't get the people. They can't get the skills that they need. 70% of digital leaders say skill shortage is a problem for them. That is a quarter-decade high in terms of the number of senior IT people saying we have a real problem. Gartner has recognised this as well. Gartner, again, I'm sure many of you are familiar with Gartner, the world's biggest IT analyst. CIOs are losing the competition for talent, they say. Now, a lot of that talent is going to suppliers. Arguably, suppliers seem to pay better. It was interesting over the last 18 months. There's been a lot of big layoffs among IT companies. You might be aware that Microsoft and others have been laying off tens of thousands of employees. And there was an expectation, great, this might help to address for people like you, for CIOs. But it just hasn't worked out like that. People who've been leaving these bigger companies have just been going, somewhere else in the IT supply chain. They've been going to smaller companies, going to emerging companies, going to startups, Google, Amazon, and that. And all we're seeing is an increasing challenge for CIOs to get the skills they need to be able to take advantage of these technologies that they're hoping to spend the money on. What does that mean? This very much, Gartner has very much seen, and I think the data that I've presented now very much supports this, that this is becoming one of the big reasons that IT departments are looking at automation. I put that slide up to you recently saying, people are increasing automation, the main area they're increasing automation is within the IT. And this is partly why. Our IT departments are being driven to automate far more simply because they can't get the skills they need. They're being driven to turn to managed service providers more than they ever have before because they can't get the skills they need. And if you think back to that early slide I put up where I showed you that for the first time ever people were saying that the number of technology areas they're personally responsible for has increased to 3 whereas it was 2. I think that is also very much an indicator of this as well. People in IT departments are all having to do more. There aren't enough people to go around, there aren't skill shortages. People are all having to do more, taking more responsibility for different technology areas within their departments. And one of the ways they're being enabled to do that is by bringing in greater automation. And I think we all know where these sort of trends happen in IT departments, they then start to happen in line of business. So, I think you can probably say with some confidence that we're going to see similar trends to this coming in a lot of your line of business departments as well. As automation comes in, skills get harder to find, people in those line of business departments are going to start wearing more hats as well. You're obviously the people who are going to have to be delivering systems to them to enable them to be able to do that increasingly productively and increasingly cost effectively. The numbers on this chart is another part of Gartner's the Gartner output. Every 6 months they update their predictions for which areas of technology are going to have the most spend and how much money is going to be spent on IT over the coming 12 months. Personally, I always find Gartner's numbers here exhibit a bit of what economists call optimism bias. You sort of expect Gartner to be going out to its customers and saying, look, you're going to be spending lots more money next year, therefore you're going to have to spend lots more money with us. So we find out how to spend all that money. So I think there was a little optimism bias in there. That 8.8 figure for 2024 feels a little high to me. But without a doubt, what our data is showing is that there is still confidence spending in IT, and I think this is what's showing us is that confidence to continue into 2024. That comment at the bottom right I found was an interesting one. It's slightly apropos of nothing on this slide in some respects, but just fitted in there. Everybody's been talking about generative AI, this ChatGPT, all this sort of thing. There's a huge amount of hype about everybody saying, God, it's technology is advancing so fast, isn't it? Incredible, all this sort of thing. And yes, all the data we've got shows that people are looking into it and so forth. But what's interesting, other from what Gartner found was in this, very topical, hyperbolic area of generative AI, what they're saying is people aren't actually spending money as end users because the change here is going to become as generative AI functions just get built into your everyday software. And I would say probably the biggest change, the biggest technological step forward we're going to see over the next 12 months in that respect is, later this year, once Microsoft integrates OpenAI and generative AI tools into Microsoft Office, and Google are doing similar things with their technology. But it's not going to be very long before people who are using probably the single piece of technology that most are familiar with, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, that sort of thing. Things that people are using every day are starting to get used to how generative AI can help them in that and help them improve their productivity. And I think we're going to see that transforming the way people are using technology much more than we're going to see people finding with the applications for large language models, this sort of thing. That's going to come. Personally, I think that's a little way down the line. I'm not generally one for making predictions. I tend to try and interpret data. But despite what you may have read elsewhere, I think I can predict with some confidence that ChatGPT is not going to make humanity extinct in the next 5 years. So I think we're okay there. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm not saying humanity won't become extinct in the next 5 years, but if it does, it's probably not going to be ChatGPT that does it. Okay, so let's try and summarise all of this. This is a summary looking at some of the quantitative stuff, and summarise what came out of research. There is still a lot of optimism. I hope that's reflected in the room. I hope you all feel that there is still a lot of optimism within your organisations about the role of IT and the importance of digital to help improve and innovate and make your organisations more productive. It is very clear that there are three big trends: data, cloud, and automation. I think when you delve down into the data underneath that, what that shows is that cloud is the driver for this, as organisations are becoming increasingly cloud first, giving them the possibility to do things they haven't done before. And among the things they haven't been able to do before is to properly take advantage of automation and AI. And this is encouraging them to get their data house in order, because as that data is moving into the cloud, that's the moment to say, is this data in the right shape, the right place we need it to be, so that as we're moving to the cloud, we can then exploit it with all these cloud-based tools like AI and machine learning. It is very much the case that the big software suppliers are going to be pushing you this way anyway. SAP, for example, made an announcement not that long ago that its new AI and generative AI functionality is only going to be made available in its cloud-based versions of the software. If you're a big SAP user, big on-prem SAP user, and you want to use some of these tools, you're going to have to move to cloud. So we're going to see a lot more of that coming that way. Cloud is the place that people are going to be doing AI and machine learning, and where they're going to be data. In terms of the anecdotal summary of people's priorities, it feels to me a little bit like we're probably back to where we would have been if the pandemic hadn't happened. Now, not exactly. Things are different directly as a result of that. I don't think there's any doubt that hybrid working would not be where it is now, as prevalent as it is now, were it not for that period during the pandemic. I think it's also fair to say that acceptance of digital transformation as an absolute priority by organisations would not be quite as well advanced now as it is were it not for the pandemic as well. But generally, other than that, it feels to me like we're at a place where we would have been with the use of technology were it not for that happening. That's very much coming from the shift to the cloud, and the shift to the cloud is now accelerating these cloud-adjacent technologies that I've been talking about, and projects that were put off, like big software applications moving to the cloud, are becoming a priority again now. Last year, I said, I think this is going to be the year within IT where we're going to see boardrooms start to ask questions about sustainability. I think we did see that over the last 12 months. Interesting to see how many of you do. We've seen that coming up as a priority, anecdotal and research. I think over this year, again, that sustainability is firmly on the agenda. It's going to be a big issue, no matter what the Prime Minister might think. Sustainability is going to be, increasingly driving what's going on in business. But there is a risk, for all this optimism, for all the good things, for all these amazing new technologies that are coming in. There is very much a risk. That's around skills, staff shortages. It's something that all of us as a community, as an IT industry community, really needs to address, to find ways to train people up, to find these new skills, to bring them in. So if we don't address that in the future, it's something that's going to potentially hold you back, hold all of us back to go forward. But there really are enormous opportunities out there. Many of you are taking advantage of already. I think, hopefully, what you might be able to take away from this is, some insights into some of the areas that perhaps you might be able to prioritise to help you keep your organisation in place. I don't know if I've talked for too long already, or I've got time for questions.
So, apologies, I'll be taking mine. Just shout. So, just before we get into questions, a few points there. Byran and Kevin discussed at the end. The summary was focused on data, AI, both of which we discussed in our keynote again, the last keynote of the session of the day. Cloud, which one of the next breakout sessions, John, the guys will talk about cloud. So hopefully, I think the other thing, very much recommended, organisations spending more money on MSP.
They seem to be doing so, whether I want to or not.
You know where we are. Genuinely, are there any questions for Byran? That was really useful and very insightful session, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Any questions for Byran? Are you sticking around?
For a little while, I won't be around here often.
So, if anybody has any questions for Byran, try and grab him quickly before he disappears. Thank you very much.
Thank you.